Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to look at 4 strikers who could improve Manchester United's forward options. It wouldn't take a genius or an expert to see that Manchester United have been lacking in forward areas this season. Rashford hasn't found the back of the net consistently through the middle. We all know that Rashford's better through on the left. The games where Rashford has done well are games where we have been able to exploit a lot of space in behind. Last night Rashford could have had a couple of goals against Spurs, but he didn't. Rashford's best position for me has always been on the left, cutting in. I feel like he isn't the best playing with his back to goal, and I feel like to get the best out of our team we need a proper striker. We would hope that it might have been Ronaldo, but last night we seen him refuse to come on as a substitute, an absolute disgrace. I'm not one to go in too hard on Manchester United players, but that was disgraceful, and I will talk about it in a different video. And Anthony Martial has been injured for most of the season. When he has played, he's looked great, but he has been injured, and that is the key worry with Martial. It has always been his fitness. It has never been a question of can this guy do it, what is his ability. It is fitness, and that is the problem with Martial. So with that being said, let's get into this. Let's look at 4 strikers who I think could improve the team, and we are starting off with Jonathan David from Lille. So Jonathan David is having somewhat of a breakout season at Lille. We all knew his quality before, but this season he's taken it to the next level. Jonathan David has played 11 matches and has 9 goals and 2 assists to boot with that. Absolutely fantastic record. He's averaging a goal or an assist per game in the French league. That is very good. He's outscoring Kylian Mbappe in the same league. So, you know, when somebody is putting up those kind of numbers, it has to be talked about, it has to be recognised, and I think that Jonathan David is set for a big move, possibly this summer. I feel like this is his time. I feel like if we are going to make a move for David, it has to be now. You know, looking at the rest of his stats, we're seeing 1.5 key passes per game. He's averaging a successful dribble per game, playing as striker, which is great. A very good passing ratio as well, 85%. So that's indicating that at least once a match, typically towards 2 times per match, Jonathan David is finding his man with good incisive passing in the final third going into the penalty box, and that's great. That is the type of link-up play we want to see. It's similar to what Martial can do with his link-up play, with his passing, and David will be a fantastic player for us to bring in. I feel like we've missed out on players like this far too often. We're paying premium fees because we're not going in for players early enough. We're looking to buy from the likes of Borussia Dortmund and Ajax and paying premiums on top of what the player is actually worth. If we went into Lille, I feel like we could get Jonathan David for possibly 40-45 million pounds. I feel like that's a fair valuation for the player at the minute, but if we leave it any later, we're looking at 60 million, then we're looking at 70 million for this guy. At age 22, he has all the potential in the world. He will be an absolutely great buy for us. He'll be a long-term signing, and it could be a big indication of the club moving in the right direction, moving away from old strikers such as Ronaldo and Cavani and Ibrahimovic, and moving towards younger strikers who have a lot of potential ahead of them. And this guy would be perfect for Ten Hag. He could really mould him into the player he wanted him to be, and at his age, with his profile, he's just the right type of player at the right time for United, and I think that this guy should be our number 1 target for the striking position. So the second player who I would recommend for Manchester United to have a look at and consider making a move for would be Carlo Ramos of Benfica. Yeah, I mean, Benfica are a talent-producing club. They pick up these great young players. They pick them up really early, they bring them in and they make great players out of them and they ship them on. We've seen this going back years. We've seen it with the likes of Di Maria, Nicolas Otamendi, Victor Lindelof has come through the Benfica system, João Felix has come through the system, and at the minute we're seeing great young talents. We're seeing Enzo Perez, who I had recommended United sign in a previous video. I think Perez is going to be a fantastic midfielder, but we're going to look at the guy playing ahead of him this season, and that is Carlo Ramos. So far for Ramos, 14 appearances, 6 goals, 1 assist, averaging 0.8 dribbles per game, 0.7 key passes, and is maintaining a passing accuracy of 73%. Now, whilst that's not as high as Jonathan David, Carlo Ramos is bursting onto the scene more. This is definitely a breakout season for the guy, And yeah, I mean, what we have to consider, and this is always needs to be taken into consideration, is the further up the pitch, the riskier your passes are. Whenever your centre backs have the ball, you're expecting to see 90 plus passing accuracy. The further up you go, the more risk a player is taking with the ball, the lower that passing accuracy is going to be. That's natural. We see it with Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes, he tries these risky passes, and when they come off, it creates a clear chance. We saw it last night. Bruno Fernandes created 9 chances against Tottenham Hotspur last night for his teammates. He doesn't do that by maintaining a high pass accuracy, by playing the safe ball. He maintains that and achieves that level of chance creation through playing balls that are riskier but will put a teammate through on goal. And yeah, I mean, that's why we see Ramos with lower pass accuracy. Of course, Jonathan David had a higher pass accuracy, who we've just discussed, but I feel like Ramos will be a very good signing. Certainly a bit more under the radar at the minute. He hasn't been talked about as much as Jonathan David. Jonathan David has been on the scene a little bit longer, but Gonzalo Ramos is definitely a player for us to watch and see how he does this season. Possibly, if he smashes it this year, we could look at a potential transfer in the summer. Another season at Benfica will be nothing but good for his development, playing games and playing in a team that helps to produce some of the very best young players in European football. And Gonzalo Ramos certainly has to be on any shortlist for Erik ten Hag's Manchester United's forward options. Okay, so a player very much under the radar is Teren Murphy, playing for FC Lorient in Ligue 1. Murphy has scored 8 goals in 11 appearances in Ligue 1 so far this season. Definitely going under the radar. He's not being talked about as much as Jonathan David, obviously, but what he's doing is very impressive. The guy is still only 23 years old, playing for a team like Lorient. It could be a low fee signing. We're seeing a decent amount of key passes per game, 0.5. He's excelling at his dribbling. He's nearly putting up 1.5 successful dribbles per game, which would put him ahead of the likes of David and ahead of Gonzalo Ramos. His passing accuracy is a fairly decent 77% as well. For a forward player, as discussed, they're always going to have lower pass accuracy, so that indicates a player who is quite tidy with the ball. And yeah, I mean, Murphy is kind of bursting onto the scene this season. It's definitely been a bit of a breakout for him at age 23. He is a little bit older than the two options we have discussed, but he will be a relatively low risk, low fee signing, especially coming from Lorient. And yeah, I mean, he'd be one for us to keep an eye on this season. And if he smashes it, why not have a look at the guy? I mean, we're crying out for options. Perhaps he could be the under the radar type signing, because unfortunately, we're not going to have a massive budget next year. We know this already by looking at the financials at the club. And someone like a Murphy for a low fee could be a gem in the market. He could be someone who we bring in for maybe 15, 20 million and he could go on to smash it. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely a player worth keeping an eye on. He definitely should be on a short list at Manchester United. We are overhauling the scouting department, so I hope that they're looking at players like this, because just far too often over those last 10 years or more, we've signed like the most obvious player in a position and just hoped for it to work, and it just hasn't worked out, and we've missed out on players such as this. I mean, if this guy goes to a Brighton or a Brentford and puts 10, 15 goals in the Premier League next season, he's going from maybe a £20 million player this summer to a 40, 50 million pound next summer. So I think we need to be a bit more proactive in the transfer market, less reactive, and look at players like Teren Murphy. And yeah, I mean, that's all we really have to say for the moment, but he's definitely one to keep an eye on, and he's one who I'll keep an eye out on this season. So the final player I think Manchester United should have on their scouting list, and this is probably the most obvious player on the entire list, it's Victor Osimhen of Napoli. Obviously there was talk of Osimhen potentially coming in over the summer. It was kind of laughed out. I think Napoli were demanding something like 100 million plus Cristiano Ronaldo on loan to them, with us covering 100% of his wages. Just something ridiculous, just a piss take offer. But Victor Osimhen would be a very, very good signing for us. He would be in the mould of the kind of Sebastian Haller type striker that Ten Hag implemented at Ajax, with his size. But what Zimhen has that Haller lacked really is blistering pace. The guy is rapid, he is big, he is fast, he is strong. We've seen him absolutely terrorise Virgil van Dijk in the Champions League for Napoli. Won a penalty, should have scored it, and he was just a thorn in Liverpool's side all game long. The guy looked great. Getting him out of Napoli will be a big fee. The reason why we seen Koulibaly move at last this summer was because Napoli continuously priced him out of transfers, and Napoli will be a very hard club for us to deal with in the summer. But Zimhen is a player we have to be looking at. I mean, he has had an injury this season, but it hasn't stopped him bagging. The guy has 4 goals and an assist in 8 appearances, averaging 1.2 key passes per game, which is very good. He's finding his teammates in those dangerous areas. It's what we like to see. We love to see a striker get involved in the build-up play, and Zimhen can certainly do that, and that's something that Ten Hag demands in his strikers. 0.5 dribbles per game. It is on the lower end. But yeah, I mean, Zimhen is a very, very good option. We can hit him in behind, hit the ball long to him. He's strong, he can hold the ball up, and whenever he gets the ball, he isn't just pace and power. This guy is very technical, got a great shot on him, and could bury most chances, be it with his feet or with his head. So Zimhen for me would certainly have to be on any transfer list. I think we'd be mad not to be looking at a player like this. It is a shame, of course. This is what I've been banging on about all video, really, is how reactive we are in the transfer market. I mean, we should be signing the likes of Victor Osimhen before he goes to Napoli, before he goes to a club such as Borussia Dortmund, and they add 40 or 50 million pound premium on. Napoli got Osimhen for around 25 million, I believe. Why weren't we in for Osimhen at that price? I mean, we could see whenever he was in Ligue 1 that there's a player in there, but as always, we leave it till somebody else buys him and makes a star out of him and adds £50 million on the price before we consider making a move. But Osimhen will be a very, very good player for us, and he's one that I definitely think we should be looking at. So yes, guys, that is the 4 strikers who we have looked at today. As always, if you enjoy the content, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Really trying to push up the subscribers. We want to start doing more and more content on here, starting to do lives and stuff. And yeah, I mean, your support on all these videos is so appreciated, honestly. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. There will be much more of these analytical type videos. Tomorrow I am probably going to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo, the refusal to come on against Tottenham Hotspur. I'll also cover the European Super League as well, which is seemingly getting a reboot, and we'll cover all the latest Manchester United news tomorrow. Saturday will be the preview, and Sunday, of course, it's the Chelsea match. So yeah, stick around for those, guys. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.